as I said earlier, take you into your kind of Celtic journey, because we all grew up. I mean, that's the first. It's such a. When I used to work there, and the PR man Peter McLean said, it's such an amazing story, Celtic's origin story. It's the greatest. It's probably the greatest football origin story with that kind of
agree with that.
Yeah. It's so difficult to. I always think there should have really been a film. There should have really been a film about, or there should be a film about how Celtic came to be and what Celtic came to be, because it's just, but it gave us, it did give us an appreciation of charity.
I vividly remember being at primary school, and the chaplain was a Father Gibbons, and he used to come in and do his wee talk, and with the wee box at that point. So we had the card, but he brought in the wee box, which is still going strong, and emphasised, look, put your wee change in here, and there's people there's people from different countries that aren't as fortunate as you, and they've not got as much things as you have. And from a very young age, we were taught at school that we were in a privileged position, and there was people out there in the big wide world that needed help, and that a wee spare bit of help here and there would go a very long way. So that was kind of drummed into us from very early on in primary school.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole kind of charity things and all these things that were in your orbit, but our priest used to take us to Celtic games as well, because it was all those kind of things, that they were all wound up in your little kind of life bubble kind of thing. But for SCIAF, for you've been able to kind of expand, in the sense of being involved in the international side, because it is a very international organisation. I believe you've been in quite a few countries, and you almost said to me you were going to start up a CSC, and the first CSC in South Sudan.
South Sudan. So I don't want to make you feel old, but those squares that you had to pay 2p, I had to pay 10p to get one of those filled. So it was something I fondly remember. But coming to SCIAF, I joined here, as I said, coming up for 3 years. And I started my career working for charities, and then I went into the private sector for about 6-7 years. And I always had that kind of thing in the back of my mind that, the money's great, but I just can't get on board with it. I can't get invested where I'm working. So I actually seen this job twice and didn't go for it the 2 times. And I saw it a 3rd time and I went for it. And that's a whole different story. But within 6 months of being here, I got the opportunity to go to Zambia with an amazing colleague, and we went to Zambia for almost 2 weeks. That was my first time in Africa, and it was life-changing. I kind of put it up there with watching my girls coming into the world. It was that kind of experience that just really opened your eyes. And people say that you can't really appreciate something until you're kind of in the thick of it. And to go over there and to see what work that we did and the impact that we had and the amount of lives that we touched was just, it was really hard to put into words. And I can't travel. I'm a terrible traveller. Even getting the train into town causes me anxiety, so we're 8 hours to Dubai, we're 10 hours in Dubai, and then we're 8 hours to Lusaka. And I'm in this alien country for 2 weeks, and it's basic, it's certainly not a holiday camp, but it was eye-opening, and it really opened my eyes up and really confirmed my love that I have for this place and for the work that we do. And then last year, I got to go to South Sudan as part of a UK government grant that we had. So I got to travel to South Sudan with another amazing colleague, and that was completely different again to being in Lusaka. It was tough, it was challenging, and it was 45 degrees, and it was you were out in the jungle for 10 days, and it was an experience. But anyway, we ended up in this village in Mundry, and I was kicking about with the white Celtic, the away top with the Celtic cross on it, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. this guy comes over and he says, "Oh, I like your top. Can I have it?" And I'm saying, "Buddy, I'm trying to remain conspicuous. I don't want to make myself stick out a wee bit more by walking
Yeah,
about topless."
taps off.
So taps off material, you know. So we
Yeah.
ended up in
I think 45
this.
degrees, you might be forgiven for that, mind you.
I would have been dead within about 15 minutes, I think. So we ended up in this wee bar and announced the first ever CSC in South Sudan in Mundry West. So yeah, if anyone's ever in Juba or Mundry West, definitely check into the CSC over there.
God, and you're responsible, so you know what I mean. That's another badge of honour,
Absolutely. Oh,
another Celtic cross of honour.
definitely, absolutely. And I think there's a wee Twitter. I don't have any social media, but I remember seeing a Twitter page, Celtic Bars, I think it's called.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
so. I'd sent them a message through my wife's account telling them that there was a new Celtic bar opened, Mundry West, Western Equatoria in South Sudan, but I
Yeah.
don't think they've updated their database yet. That'll be
do they have,
confirmation.
do they have good Wi-Fi that they can get the games? You know.
Surprisingly, they were next to a tower, so surprisingly they
All
had
right.
decent Wi-Fi, and I swear it was so funny because they were watching horse racing from the previous Friday, and it was Kempton, and
Right.
they were betting on it, and
Wow.
I'm thinking, do you know? And the guy that I was with, the two guys that I was walking around with, I'm going, the next race, number 7 wins, and they're like, how do you know that? I says, because it's a pre-recording. It's like from Friday's racing, and I says, Mum will go and stick a bet on. And the boy says, unless you want to lose your hand, I would avoid that.
Right. Like God, that a bit like we went the old days. Like we went to Italy with the schools, and we said we were real punters at that time, and we said to everybody, there was the whole school trip, said people want to bet in horse races because and we'll find out the results the next day because the papers, you got the papers a day late.
Oh, aye,
So
yep.
we thought, so nobody can know because you know in those days nobody would phone home or anything like that. So they said, oh no, we'll definitely do it, and then we get scared. We thought, say somebody wins, say it's a real outsider that wins, and one of the guys, there was 3 of us involved. One of the guys says, we can't have that. We'll need to tailor the odds by knowing who won. I said, well, how have we got to do that? I said, my granny loves horse racing. He says, I haven't spoke to her for ages, but I'll phone her. So we got all these coins, you know, lira and all that. Got all these
Oh, aye.
lira coins. And so he's punched them into the phone box. He says, and it answers, hi, Granny. I know I haven't spoken to you for about 6 months, but could you tell me the winners at like Plumpton yesterday? Like, you know, it took them about 3 days to catch on that we were cheating.
Oh,
You know,
brilliant,
we were
man.
cheating, and
Brilliant.
then we were ostracised for the rest of it. You know, like because I used to
Ah,
just get the papers because you're always wondering who's Celtic signing, You know, and you
yeah.
had to. It's incredible now how the world's changed and the fact
Oh,
that you
aye.
know.
I mean, I used to always get the Celtic View, and that's how I kind of kept up with the
Good man,
news. And
because that's my alma mater kind of thing.
oh,
I used
I
to.
started getting that. I subscribed to it. There was a wee local newsagents up the road phase, and I used to go in there. Did it come out on a Wednesday?
Wednesday,
It
aye.
was a it was a Wednesday. I used to go on a Wednesday, and I think when I started getting it was about £1.25. And I used to get that every single week. And I always remember I got it every week from 1997 up
Right.
until the 6-2 game in
Oh yeah.
2001, and he never had it in. And I think I kept it going till about 2005, 2006, and I've still got them. They're up in my mum and dad's loft in these big plastic boxes. Every episode, every weekly magazine from then right up until 2005, 2006, minus that 6-2 game, and I could never get my hands on it. And I used to
Right.
look around online marketplaces and think, and eBay and Gumtree and contacting folk, and I'm like, have you got this one issue that I was missing? And I could never get my hands on it. And it
Oh
was a Wednesday
God.
after we beat Rangers 6-2. But
Because
I 10 years worth of that magazine.
Wow, because 97 was when we switched to, that was when we had introduced the magazine, because we were a newspaper before that. They were exciting times, you know, with the Larson coming in up. We got loads of signings. So with some great covers. Those initial ones, they did really well for us, because people, it was the right thing to do, move from the newspaper to the magazine. It was so much glossier, and it just happened at the right time, because obviously going on to win the league. But if you look at the early ones you've got then, in your loft or whatever, like you see the back page, you'll see me with loads of hair, dyed auburn. You can see, because I used to do a column in it for 97. I used to get so much stick, because we had I had a wee bet with the guy that was the kind of production editor. He said, right, I'm going to pick I've got this book of 1,000 pictures. He says, I'm going to pick a different picture